In the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, where millions chase their dreams and fortunes, rise and fall with each sunrise, there lived a woman who had everything money could buy, except the one thing her heart craved most. Meet Kemi Adebola. At just 29, she built Nigeria's most successful fintech company from her university dorm room. Her app, Pay Niger, processes over 2 billion naira daily. She owns 3 penthouses, drives a Lamborghini, and her face graces magazine covers across West Africa. But here's what those magazines don't show you. Every night, Kemi returns to her glass tower overlooking Lagos Island, orders expensive food she barely touches, and stares at her phone hoping for just one genuine message that isn't about money, partnerships, or business deals. The woman who helps millions of Nigerians manage their finances can't buy herself the one thing she desperately needs: real love. And if you think this story is just about another rich person's problems, stick around, because what happens next will completely change how you think about love, deception, and the most unlikely place someone can find their soulmate. Make sure you subscribe, because this journey is about to take turns you never saw coming. For 3 months, Kemi thought she'd found her prince in Tunde Bakare. Handsome, charming, always dressed in designer suits. He claimed to be a successful oil trader from Port Harcourt. Their dates were perfect. Expensive restaurants, private jets to Abuja, romantic weekends in Dubai. Tunde seemed different from other men who only saw her bank account. Until that Wednesday evening that shattered everything. Kemi decided to surprise Tunde at his office in Victoria Island. She walked into the building, rode the elevator to the 23rd floor, and knocked on suite 2304. The door opened. A pregnant woman stood there, toddler on her hip, confusion in her eyes. "Please, who are you looking for?" the woman asked in Igbo-accented English. Kemi's heart stopped. Behind the woman, she saw children's toys scattered on the floor, family photos on the walls, and there, hanging in the hallway, was Tunde's jacket. I think I have the wrong address," Kemi whispered, backing away. But it was too late. She'd seen enough. The oil trader, the business trips, the late-night meetings. All lies. Tunde was married with 3 children, living a double life funded by her generosity. Every gift she'd bought him, every expensive dinner, every romantic gesture, all while his pregnant wife waited at home. How do you rebuild your faith in love when the person you trusted most turns out to be your biggest lie? 2 weeks after the Tunde disaster, Kemi had sworn off men entirely. She threw herself deeper into work, launching Pay Niger's new crypto feature, working 16-hour days to numb the pain. It was during one of these late nights that fate intervened in the most unexpected way. Leaving her office at 11 p.m., Kemi walked to her car in the underground garage. That's when she heard it. A soft voice speaking perfect English, teaching what sounded like mathematics. Following the voice, she discovered something extraordinary. Under the dim lighting of the parking garage's corner, a man sat cross-legged on a piece of cardboard. Around him, 5 street children, the ones who usually begged for change outside her building, sat in a perfect circle, completely absorbed. "If you have 50 naira and you want to buy bread for 15 naira each, how many loaves can you afford, and how much change will you have left?" the man asked gently. The children's hands shot up eagerly. These same kids who usually seemed defeated and hungry were now excited about mathematics. The man looked up as Kemi approached. Despite his worn clothes and the fact that he was clearly living on the streets, his eyes held an intelligence and dignity that took her breath away. "I'm sorry if we're disturbing you," he said, starting to gather the children. "We'll move somewhere else." "No, wait," Kemi heard herself saying. "What you're doing, it's beautiful." His name was Adebayo, that's all he would tell her. "These children have brilliant minds," he explained as the kids reluctantly headed home. "They just need someone to believe in them." In a city where most people crossed the street to avoid homeless people, this man was creating a classroom under a parking garage. "How long have you been doing this, sir?" she asked. 6 months, ever since I—" He paused, something painful flashing across his face. "Ever since I decided that true education happens where it's needed most, not where it's most profitable. There was a story there, a mystery that would soon turn Kemi's world upside down in ways she never imagined. Over the following weeks, Kemi found excuses to stay late, hoping to catch another impromptu lesson. Adebayo taught reading using newspaper headlines, mathematics using real money problems, and life skills using examples from Lagos street life. The children adored him. They called him Teacher Bayo and protected him fiercely. One evening, as rain poured down outside, Kemi made a decision that would change everything. "There's a conference room on the 12th floor that's never used in the evenings," she told Adebayo. "It has whiteboards, comfortable chairs, and it's warm. The security guard is my friend. He won't mind." Adebayo studied her face carefully. "Why would you do this for a stranger?" "Maybe because you're the first person in years who's never asked me for money," Kemi replied honestly. For 3 weeks, their unlikely friendship grew, and that's when Kemi received the call that filled her with dread. "Kemi, darling." Her mother's voice rang through the phone with forced cheerfulness. "The family reunion is in 6 weeks. Your cousins are all bringing their husbands and children. Please tell me you're finally bringing someone home. The annual Adebola family reunion in Ibadan. 3 days of well-meaning relatives asking why the most successful woman in the family was still single. Mama, I'm busy with the company. Kemi, you're 29 years old. Your grandfather is getting old. He wants to see you settled before he passes. Even if it's just for the reunion, find someone, anyone. Your grandfather's health is failing, and this might be his last chance to see you happy." After hanging up, Kemi sat in her office staring out at Lagos's twinkling lights. How could she explain that the men who wanted her only saw dollar signs, while the one person whose company she genuinely enjoyed lived under bridges? The next evening, after the children left their lesson, Kemi said the words that would change both their lives. "Would you consider coming with me as my fake boyfriend?" Adebayo nearly dropped the book he was holding. "Kemi, Look at me. Look at how I live. Your family would never accept. They don't have to accept you forever. Just for 3 days. I'll handle everything. Clothes, backstory, everything. You'd stay in guest quarters. We'd pretend to be dating. And after the reunion, we go back to our normal lives." "Why me?" Adebayo asked quietly. "Because you're the only man I know who's never wanted anything from me except friendship. My family will see that. They'll see how you look at me, like I'm just Kemi, not Kemi the billionaire." Adebayo said yes. What followed was the most surreal week of both their lives. The transformation was remarkable. In tailored suits and with his natural dignity, Adebayo looked every inch the successful businessman. But during the shopping trips, something unexpected happened. "You wear expensive clothes like you're used to them," Kemi observed as Adebayo adjusted gold cufflinks without hesitation. Something flickered across his face. I had a different life once." But he wouldn't elaborate. The mystery deepened during etiquette coaching. Kemi expected to teach Adebayo how to navigate formal dinners and family politics. Instead, she discovered he already knew which fork to use for each course, how to speak to elders respectfully in Yoruba, and could discuss everything from classical music to international business. "Where did you learn all this?" Kemi asked after Adebayo perfectly executed a traditional Yoruba greeting. "Everyone has a story, Kemi. Some stories are just more visible than others." As they prepared for the reunion, something unexpected happened. Their fake relationship started feeling real. During rehearsals of their How We Met story, their hands would touch as they practiced walking together. During shopping trips, Adebayo would absently pick lint from Kemi's jacket or hold doors without thinking. These small gestures felt more genuine than any grand romantic gesture Tunde had ever made. One evening, while teaching the children their regular lesson, precocious 8-year-old Funmi asked, "Teacher Bayo, is Miss Kemi your girlfriend?" Before Adebayo could answer, Kemi found herself blushing. "We're friends. But you look at each other like my mama and papa do when they think we're not watching," Funmi observed. That night, after the children left, the observation hung between them. "Funmi's very observant," Adebayo said softly. "Too observant," Kemi agreed. her heart racing. When was the last time someone truly saw you for who you are, not what you have? The Adebola family compound in Ibadan was exactly as Kemi remembered. Sprawling, filled with relatives, and alive with the sounds of children playing and women preparing elaborate meals. The first test came immediately. Kemi's grandmother, Mama Adebola, sat in her throne-like chair in the main sitting room, commanding respect from the entire family. "Kemi, come here with this man everyone is whispering about," Mama Adebola called in Yoruba. After the proper traditional greetings, Mama Adebola studied Adebayo carefully. "You have good eyes, and you greet properly. What is your family name?" "Okafor, ma'am. From Anambra State originally, but my family moved to Lagos when I was young." "Igbo boy. Your people work hard. I like that. And you love our Kemi?" The room fell silent. This was the test. Adebayo looked at Kemi, and for a moment she saw something in his eyes that took her breath away. "Ma'am, your granddaughter is the most remarkable woman I've ever met. She has a heart that wants to heal the world and the strength to actually do it. Loving her is the easiest thing I've ever done." Mama Adebola nodded approvingly. "Good answer. Kemi, this one you can keep." For 2 days, Adebayo navigated every social situation flawlessly. He played soccer with the children, helped the women in the kitchen despite protests, and engaged Kemi's male cousins in discussions about business and politics. But it was during a quiet moment on the second evening that Kemi realized how deep her feelings had grown. She found Adebayo sitting alone on the compound's back porch, staring out at the garden where string lights created a magical atmosphere. "You've been perfect," she said, settling beside him. "Almost too perfect. My cousins are jealous. Mama Adebola wants to adopt you, and even my grandfather asked if you wanted to join his weekly chess games." "Your family is wonderful," Adebayo said softly. "They love fiercely. It reminds me of what I gave up." "What do you mean?" He was quiet for so long that Kemi thought he wouldn't answer. "After this weekend," Adebayo said finally, "after we go back to Lagos and end this charade, I'll tell you everything. I promise." This weekend was supposed to be fake, but everything she was feeling was painfully real. Monday morning back in Lagos, Kemi expected their fake relationship to quietly end. Instead, Adebayo asked to meet her for coffee at a restaurant in Ikoyi. He arrived wearing the same worn clothes she'd first met him in, but there was a resolution in his posture that hadn't been there before. "Kemi, I need to tell you who I really am." "I'm listening." "My full name is Adebayo Okafor. 3 years ago, I was the youngest senior vice president at Zenith Bank's corporate division. I had a penthouse in Banana Island, drove a Porsche, and was engaged to the daughter of a senator." Kemi's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "I thought I had everything," Adebayo continued, "until I realized that everyone around me, my fiancé, my friends, even some family members, only cared about my money and connections. When I discovered my fiancé was cheating with my best friend, both of them talking about how they'd split my assets after marriage, I broke. What did you do? I walked away from everything, put my money in trust funds for charities, broke the engagement, quit my job, and decided to see what life was like when people thought I had nothing." Kemi felt the world spinning. "You've been lying to me for weeks." "Yes." "You let me buy you clothes, arrange things for you, feel sorry for you." "Yes." "You watched me worry about bringing you to my family reunion, thinking you wouldn't fit in, when you probably went to the same private schools as my cousins." "Kemi, Get away from me." Kemi stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "You're just like Tunde, just like all of them. Everything is a lie." "Kemi, please let me explain." "Explain what?" "That you thought it was funny to watch the rich girl play charity case? What was the end game, Adebayo? Wait for me to fall in love and then reveal your true identity like some twisted Nollywood movie?" Tears were streaming down her face as other restaurant patrons turned to stare. "I never meant for this to happen," Adebayo said desperately. "I never meant to fall in love with you." "Love?" Kemi laughed bitterly. "You don't know what that word means." She walked out, leaving Adebayo sitting alone at the table. For 2 weeks, Kemi threw herself back into work, but she couldn't stop thinking about Adebayo. The children had been asking about him at the office building. He'd disappeared from their usual spots. The truth came from an unexpected source. Funmi, the observant 8-year-old from their lessons, appeared at Kemi's office building one evening. "Miss Kemi, Teacher Bio is sick." "What do you mean sick?" "He's been sleeping under the bridge again, but it's been raining every day. He gave away all his nice clothes to other homeless people. He says he doesn't deserve them." "Funmi, where is he?" "Under the 3rd mainland bridge. But Miss Kemi, he's been crying. Teacher Bio never cries." Kemi's heart broke completely. She found Adebayo exactly where Funmi said he'd be. Soaked, obviously sick with fever and looking more broken than she'd ever seen him. "Go away, Kemi," he said without looking up. "No. I'm exactly what you said I am. A liar, a con artist. You deserve better." "Maybe I do," Kemi said, sitting down beside him despite the mud and rain. "But that doesn't change the fact that I love you anyway." Adebayo looked at her in shock. "I've been thinking for 2 weeks about everything you said, everything we did together. Yes, you lied about your background, but everything else was real, wasn't it? The way you treated those children, the way you listened to me, the way you never asked for anything except friendship." "Kemi, let me finish. You said you walked away from your old life to see what it was like when people thought you had nothing. What did you discover? That most people are exactly as shallow as I feared. But not me. Not you," he whispered. "You saw a homeless man and offered kindness. You saw potential in street children everyone else ignores. You loved me when you thought I was nobody. And you loved me even though you knew I might never forgive you for lying." They sat in the rain together, 2 broken people finding their way back to each other. "Can you forgive me?" Adebayo asked. "Only if you promise me something. Anything. No more lies, ever. Even if the truth is painful. I promise." True love means accepting someone completely, flaws and all. 1 year later, Lagos society buzzed with news of the most unexpected engagement of the year. Kemi Adebola, tech mogul, and Adebayo Okafor, former banking executive turned social entrepreneur. Adebayo had used his trust fund money to establish New Hope Learning Centers, a network of free educational programs for street children across Lagos. Kemi had provided the technology platform and business expertise to scale the program rapidly. Their engagement party was held not at a luxury hotel, but at the first official New Hope Center in Mushin. The guest list included Kemi's family, Lagos business elite, and dozens of street children who called Adebayo Teacher Bio. "You know," Mama Adebola said as she watched Adebayo teaching a group of children how to use tablets for the first time, "I knew that boy was special from the moment I met him." "How?" Kemi asked. "Because he looked at you the same way your grandfather looked at me on our first meeting. Like you were the answer to a prayer he didn't know he was praying." Their wedding 6 months later was covered by every major Nigerian media outlet, but the most memorable moment wasn't captured by any photographer. As Kemi and Adebayo exchanged vows in front of 500 guests at the Oriental Hotel, little Funmi stood up and shouted, "I told you they loved each other!" The entire church erupted in laughter and applause. During their first dance, Adebayo whispered in Kemi's ear, "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for showing me that love isn't about what someone can give you, but about who they choose to be." Kemi replied, "When 2 broken people heal each other, they become unstoppable." 2 years after their wedding, Kemi and Adebayo's New Hope Learning Centers had expanded to 25 locations across Nigeria and Ghana. They'd been featured on CNN International, and tech giants were partnering with them to bring digital literacy to underserved communities. But their greatest success was measured differently. Every evening, Kemi and Adebayo still taught classes together. The same children who'd once begged for coins outside office buildings were now coding simple programs, reading at grade level, and dreaming of university. Funmi, now 11, had become their unofficial student coordinator and was already talking about studying computer science at university. "Teacher Bio, Miss Kemi," she said one evening as they locked up the Mushin Center. "There's a new girl who started sleeping behind the market. She's maybe 7 years old and she can already read English and Yoruba. Someone must have taught her before she ended up on the streets. Kemi and Adebayo exchanged glances. They'd learned that every street child had a story, and those stories often led to the most unexpected discoveries. "What's her name?" Adebayo asked. "She won't say, but Teacher Bayo," Funmi lowered her voice dramatically. "She has a birthmark on her wrist that looks exactly like the one on that missing person poster at the police station. The one for the rich man's daughter who disappeared 6 months ago." Kemi's heart stopped. "Show us." As they drove toward the market in the Lagos night, following Funmi's directions, Kemi couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to stumble into another life-changing story. "Ready for our next adventure?" Adebayo asked, squeezing her hand. "With you, always." They had no idea that in the shadows of Lagos's teeming markets, a mystery was waiting that would test everything they'd learned about love, trust, and the power of second chances. If this story touched your heart, imagine what the next one will do to your soul. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because the mystery of the missing rich man's daughter and the little girl with the birthmark is coming next week. And you won't believe how it connects to everything you just watched. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves a second chance at love, and share it with someone who needs to remember that the most powerful relationships happen when we see people for who they really are, not what they appear to be. Because sometimes the person who changes your life forever is the one you least expect, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to see their true worth.